All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to start off by giving all praises, all blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kwadash, or Racha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the elect men scattered across the four corners of the planet Earth who are pushing this word in all truth and in sincerity. All right. In all diligence as well. All right. Shalom to the women, to the children who are not offended by the gospel of our Heavenly Father and through His Son. All right. Whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yahweh Shai. All right. Nor of your husbands or loved ones. And, in this walk that we are walking in. All right. It's trying. All right. It's a very trying walk that we are a part of. And so, with that being said, I'm going to start off this lesson with the scripture. All right. And the focus of this letter is the Willie Lynch letter. Okay. The making of a slave. All right. Now, people say the Willie Lynch letters are not real, but, hey, regardless of that, okay, regardless of, that, the Willie Lynch letters are real, okay? They are real for the fact that the things that are written in the Willie Lynch letter, they do apply to our people. Especially in these days and times, whether the letter or whether the meeting or whether the meeting was by word of mouth or whatever. Okay, this could have been something that someone overheard. Okay, but the outcome, all right, is still present. So I'm going to start off with Proverbs 10:7. And it says, the memory of the just is blessed. All right. But the name of the wicked shall rot. Okay. And the wicked are who? The Edomites. All right. First and foremost, above all of these other nations on the earth, you have the Edomites, who are the so-called white men, women, and children, white race in their various families, whether they're so-called Ish people, small headers, or your Germans or Russians or Swedens or whatever. Okay, Frenchmen, whatever. Okay. Their name is going to rot, all right, because of the wickedness that they have been a part of, okay? So, I'm gonna, a lot of you have not heard the Willie Lynch letters, so I have a disclaimer, okay? This video is not being used to make any money. It's being used for criticism purposes, educational purposes, all right, so on and so forth. And this is from Rain Israel Library, okay. So this is Israel, okay. So this is some Israelites put this together, all right. And you can go and subscribe and thumbs up their channel, okay. Because hey, it's all about sharing information. Okay, anyway, so brothers have probably done this video thousands of but today is Memorial Day, okay, here in Babylon the Great. And this is the memorial that we're going to bring up, okay? Again, Proverbs 10:7 says, the memory of the just is blessed. What's on our mind and memory is the unrighteousness, the wickedness that this devil continues to perpetrate against our people, okay? The injustices that are still being pushed against our people, okay? And so, you people, you don't have to participate. We don't have to participate in this devil's plan, all right? Even, because they're moving closer and closer to pushing this MOTB, which should have you moving further and further away from their system, because this system is meant to be a snare, especially to you people. You people who are not, you're not accepting the doctrine, all right? You're not accepting the prophecy of what the MOTB is, okay? And so it's going to be a snare to you, meaning that a lot of you are going to be caught up within that, receive that mark, and you are going to perish. You're going to perish, all right? So I'm going to and this is a what? I don't know how long this video is. I can't see how long this video is, but I'm just going to go skip through it.
First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control.
Okay, so let me say this. A lot of you Jakes, man, whether you or you got Jake over in the West Indies, okay? They feel some type of way about their brothers here in America. You have Jake down in South America. Okay, they feel some type of way about about their own brothers here in America, and vice versa. Okay, vice versa as well. Okay, this devil, hey, I could tell you one thing about the Willie Lynch letters. They weren't done in the 70s, all right, or the 60s, okay? So they have to be pre-60s, all right? Because older people did have knowledge of the Willie Lynch letters, all right? But you see, the West Indies, the same thing that they did to you Jakes over there, okay? They did to us, all right? Same thing they did to us. They did this to the so-called Native Americans, to the so-called Hispanics, or wherever you were, okay? Same thing, people, but they didn't do it to the other nations. Okay, now you have this bull egg head Israelite, okay, and I don't even want to call him an Israelite. I don't, saying that salvation is for the other nations, or something like that. Whatever he's trying to push, saying that I guess he's trying to say that the Gentiles can make it, or the Gentiles partake in the salvation. All right, I don't know. It's these dudes are you shouldn't listen to these individuals, man. It'd be confusing. Okay. And I stopped listening to these guys. If you watch my videos, man, I've been okay when they were just starting Sakari. I was done with them then. All right, seeing it was the foolishness then, man. All right, and it's just continued. All right, they're basically using the truth, as is a lot of Israelites, as a safety net. Okay. You know, a lot of Jake, they don't work a job, and it's a safety net. People send in money. All right, now that's not the case for all of us. All right, it's not the case for all of us. Some of us have to go and seek labor. Okay, you don't work, you don't eat, but these individuals are looking for a retirement plan. Okay, they don't have their faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. That's why some of them were even saying, well, this could go on for another 15, 20 years, 30 years. All right, they wouldn't mind. Okay, they wouldn't mind. So anyway, that's not what we have undertaken. All right, listen, I make pretty good money, and I have, I had dreams and aspirations of, traveling and, going across the road, man. But, it is truth, man. Okay. If I go here or there, man, I'm going here or there in search, okay, of some Israelite facts. Okay. I'm not going there, take pictures, man. Oh, I've been here. Then, no, man, I'm going there for facts, looking for, for the Israelite history, man. Okay. And that's what this guy, Hitler, okay. Hitler, a lot of the stuff that Hitler was doing, Hitler was sending individuals out to, find out information, man. That's, to find out, get intelligence. They were big on, Hitler was big on, what do you call it, the esoteric. He was big on finding out about the Israelites, and that's why he had a stance against those 1948ers. He took a stance against them, knowing that they were not the real people. All right. So I'm going to continue on with this video.
Of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented.
And see how they took it back to ancient Rome. All right. They took it back to ancient Rome because, hey, ancient Rome is what? Esau, Edom. All right. That abomination. All right. The wicked. All right. That wicked root.
As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highway in great numbers, you here are using the tree and the rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings, slaves are running away, your crops are sometimes...
Okay, now, and who else was hung on the tree? Hung on trees, man. All right? Here in Babylon the Great. All right? So here in Babylon the Great, in this golden city, all right, this empire, just as in the Roman Empire, as she just said, okay. So this lets you know this is the beast with the wound that healed, all right. They were the people that were being hung were the Israelites, man. Now, not to say that other people probably didn't get hung on trees in Rome, okay, but for the most part, in Rome and in America, okay, the most known historical history about hangings were to Israelites, all right, in Rome and in America, okay, most notable, Now they may have hung other people. We're not gonna go in and look and see who all they hung. All right, but the most notable, and the most notable being who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yahweh Shai, being hung from a cross. Okay, and likewise here in America, Babylon the Great, men and women and children being hung from trees in this supposed Christian country, right? Why would they be doing that if they were not the wicked? So they're the wicked, okay?
Left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires, your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I need not to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves.
Okay, now I gotta chime in again now. We saw this same thing taking place here in America, okay? With George Floyd and Trayvon Martin and all of those. Remember those cop killings? All right. See, they went back to the Willie Lynch letters, okay? That's why you see the police have relaxed their attack on Jake, because they have another plan. And you know, you know, it's costing. Okay, you break them. You know, Jake is easy. You break Jake easily. All right. Okay. That joke Richard Pryor said, look, we just broke him. Whatever the joke. I'm not going to go into it now because I'm trying to get through this video. But you know, Esau has been relentlessly through the police unaliving Jake. All right. And so it costs people's families. They sue. All right. Lawyer costs, to the point to where the courts here are so unjust. You have, in order to sue, you have to have, body parts have to be maimed, or be unalived, man, or the lawyers won't take them, or the judges won't try them. So this place is getting much, much worse. Okay. Because because they have an insatiable, they're the wicked. They have an insatiable appetite for blood. Okay. Isn't he rightfully called Esau? Okay. He has an appetite for blood. All right. He's a murderer, a liar, and a thief.
I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years.
Yeah, so the MOTB is coming. All right.
My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short.
And see this, that has, plagued us to this day. You still have Jakes arguing about the stupidity, and this is being, pushed by Esau. East Coast, West Coast, okay? This city, that city. You a unk, you a YN, okay? You a young hoe, you a cougar, all right? All of that goofy, it's It's meant to separate Jake, and this is what Esau has been using for 300 years, okay? You're a West Indian, you're a Mexican, you're a Haitian, okay? You're, West Coaster, or, California. It's to us it's ridiculous, it's retarded, but this is what most of you people, okay? This is what 2/3 of you people, this is your daily choices in life. This is how you live your life. This is how you raise your children. Okay? I'm going to let them finish talking.
Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulteration, respect, or admiration. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination,
we see that envy in this truth, right? Jake don't want you out on the highways and byways, and you're telling Jake, look, Jake, you're the most beautifulest people on the planet Earth. And just because you're out there doing it, okay, and you're reading, and a lot of Jake, they can't read. You'll be surprised. Illiteracy is a real thing, okay, in the community. Okay, a lot of Jake cannot read. And so you're looked at as an enemy simply because you can read. Okay? And you're telling Jake, look, Jake, you're the beautiful, you're a king, you're a prince, you're a princess. Okay? Jake don't want to hear it because it's coming from you. That's envy. That's the separation. That's because Jake is in a slave mentality. But it's going to go deeper, and that's why people say, oh, those letters are not real. It's bull. That's crap, man. Okay. Now my grandmother, okay, spoke about the Willie Lynch letter. So okay, she was okay. My grandmother, all right. So these weren't concocted in the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, man.
Shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's make a slave. The origin and development of a social being called the Negro. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigger man and a pregnant nigger woman and her baby nigger boy. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. We reduce them from their natural state in nature, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their needs and the needs of their offspring. We break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency state so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. Cardinal principles for making a Negro. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horses and men, we lay down the art. For if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse. We understand that short-range planning in economics results in periodic economic chaos, so that to avoid turmoil in the economy, it requires us to have breadth and depth in long-range, comprehensive planning, articulating both skill and sharp perception. We lay down the following principles for long-range, comprehensive economic planning. 1. Both horse and niggers are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. 2. Both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. 3. For orderly futures, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. 4. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. 5. Both must be taught to respond to a peculiar new language. 6. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. We hold the above 6 cardinals as truths to be self-evident, based upon the following discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and nigger together, all inclusive of the 6 principles laid down above.
Okay, so they used the way that, they broke a horse, a wild horse. Okay, that was their recipe, for breaking you jakes. All right, and the funny thing about it is, we actually taught them how to break horses. All right. And so they use that ultimately against us. All right. And let me get a scripture. All right. So this is something that you Jakes should never forget. All right. This is Ezekiel 35:5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, that their iniquity had an end. Okay? So even after slavery, okay, this is what, okay, we served our hardcore bondage slavery here in Babylon the Great, but they had other plans. Okay? They went even harder. And the saddest thing of this is a lot of you don't know that you are slaves to this day. They're telling you what kind of slaves you are in this letter. This letter is not you got people saying, oh, the letter is manufactured. No, man. This letter is definitely pre-60s.
Note: neither principles alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural nigger is dangerous even if captured, for they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in this natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, break them from one form of mental life to another. Keep the body and take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Now the breaking process is the same for the horse and the nigger, only slightly varying in degrees. But as we said before, you must keep your eye focused on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. A brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. Therefore, if you break the female, she will break the offspring in its early years of development, and when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you. For her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured nigger males in their natural state, a pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will train the infant horse to eat out of your hand.
And see, this is where you get your ratchet. You see that your baddies, okay, your YNs, these rappers, gangster rappers. That's the image that they're. This Willie Lynch nigga is who they are. That's their character. That's who they are. The Willie Lynch nigga. These women, yeah, all that chitter chatter, okay, out and about, okay. That is the results of Willie Lynch. You see, and it's been passed down, okay, from their grandmothers. Okay, a lot of you, Jake, man, you men, you're trying to get with these women, man. Okay, and these women are the result of Willie Lynch. Okay, they're Willie Lynch Negroes, man. It's pretty much nothing that can be done with them, man. You know, the Lord, you know, put them in that state of mind. Okay. Salakia. You know, through Esau, all right? Yeah, through Esau, okay? Through Esau. And so they're meant to be a snare and a, you know, stumbling block. Now they're in the truth, you know, teaching contrary to doctrine. Okay, all up in your family causing, you know, confusion. They're there, man. You like, what? You know, you're looking at this like, this nigga, man. Okay, but this is what they derived from. Okay, I'm gonna try to just go ahead. Where we at? 34. Let's jump ahead.
An orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the positions of the male and female savages. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. The Negro marriage unit. We breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say the nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. Warning: possible interloping negatives. Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild or natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore,
And see, and that's been the plan. All right, that's been the plan. And so, when you have you got these young women, okay, and people talk shit about what the elders have said about getting with the young women in the kingdom. Okay, people have had problems with that, but the thing of that is, you can't have an 11, 12-year-old, okay, who doesn't know his head from his asshole, who ignorantly had sex with a female and got her pregnant. And how is he going to support that child? How are they going to support that child? You see? That's the confusion, okay, of Jake. See, so there's supposed to be a man there, okay, to look over that daughter, to guide that daughter, to guide that son, but there's not. Okay, because Esau, his plan is to keep you at a disadvantage economically. Okay, they're telling you to keep you at a disadvantage economically, so that you are not there to look over your children. They're there. Okay, remember, the woman and the child have to eat out of your hand like the horse. Their hand is the government, the link, the Section 8. They don't need you. They're telling you their plan. So you're not going to tell me that this letter was fake, okay?
we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and the female savages, we had created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless phenomenon occurred, and reshifted the positions of the male and female savages. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time if it can touch some substantial original historical base. And they advised us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon or illusions so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating.
And they use the black conscious community, okay? And when you start waking up, they saying in who? Okay? These apologists. Okay, these Christian apologists, they come and swooping in. Okay, you find out you're the Israelites. Right, and they swoop in with the apologists and their cohorts, okay? Cohorts, all right? So like your cohorts to try to confuse you, which No, they're not going to confuse the elect. All right. They're not going to confuse the elect. So they're going to, snatch up some, the people who are thirsty, who will do anything for some money. Okay. Those are the people who, will be influenced. Okay. Those who love mammon.
Balls in a vacuum. This creation of a multiplicity of phenomenon or illusions entails the principles of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above.
And during, and so this lets you know that this had to come pre 60s, because that's when you had the colored, they were going through the colored and the all the different labels that they had for Jake. Okay, and all of that is scriptural. All right, should be a byword. All right, and so that's the way Esau has wanted to keep you. Okay, as a byword. Okay, you're colored, you're Negro, everything except for an Israelite. Oh man, Salakia. All right, I'm gonna get right back to it. Oh man.
The purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers, we shall lay down the following definitional terms for future generations. 1. Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given pattern. 2. Axis means upon which or around which a body turns. 3. Phenomenon means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. 4. Multiplicity means a great number. 5. Sphere means a globe. 6. Crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward ass, long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. 7. Crossbreeding niggers means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible, varying the drops by the various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appear as you desire. What this means is this. Put the niggers and the horse in the breeding pot. Mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? You got a multiplicity of colors of ass backwards, unusual niggers, running, tied to backward ass, long-headed mules.
And that's what happened when you follow these people in the industry. Okay, that's the way that they set up the entertainment industry. Okay, the exact same recipe for the entertainment industry, and for a lot of these jobs. All right, that's why you have your your Greek society, your Greeks. All right, have individuals in certain jobs, positions. All right, because they are the long-headed ass backwards results of Esau, man. Not to say that all of them are Edomites, but they're stuck on stupid, man. So that's why you people must break, all right, away from this devil, man. All right, as the scripture says, Let me get to it. Let me get it real quick. Come on, come on. All right, Isaiah 30 and 2. All right, Isaiah 30 and 2. I start at 1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. And ultimately, you people, you've taken counsel. You're taking counsel from your enemy. We are your counselors. All right. We are your counselors. Now we're not going to counsel you on how to make it in this world. We're going to counsel you on how to separate from this world. All right. Because the world that you're living in is a world that is only moving through, your slave, your involvement as a slave. All right. And to further put you into slavery. So you're rebellious. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Okay? So that's all you people are doing. You're adding sin, and sin is death. Okay? Sin is death. And so you're adding sin to sin. Okay? 32 says that walk to go down into Egypt. Okay? That walk to go down into Egypt. Egypt is what? Bondage. You're going down into bondage again. Okay? And have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. All right. Verse 3 says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. All right. Let me get that in another version. I'll try the NIV. Okay, this is the NIV. Same thing, Isaiah 31. Woe to the obstinate children, declares the Lord, to those who carry out plans that are not mine, forming an alliance, but not by my spirit, heaping sin upon sin, who go down to Egypt without consulting me, who look for help to Pharaoh's protection, to Egypt's shade for refuge. But Pharaoh's protection will be your shame. Egypt's shade will bring you disgrace. All right. Let me try in the NLT real quick. And then I'm going to end this. Right. And this is a boring video. This may be a boring video to you. Come on. Man, this. Come on, man. Oh, man. It won't. Come on. Piece of shit. So the screen won't get small. It won't slide over. Motherfucker. All right, so this thing it's not working. All right, it's not working. I can't go to the NLT. Let me see if I can go to it from here. That was just, okay, I could go to it from here. That was wild. Okay, this is the same thing, Isaiah 30:1. What sorrow awaits my rebellious children? Okay, listen. This is a future prophecy. It says, what sorrow awaits my rebellious children, saith the Lord. You make plans that are contrary to mine. You make alliances not directed by my spirit, thus piling up your sins. And this is like, to put you more in mind of what's going on. This is like you're dealing with let's say you're dealing with a woman or a man. All right. And you're making plans, and, you've told them what, and they're doing everything exactly against what you said. Okay. You're not going to want to put up with it. All right. So remember, no matter what the Genesis say or any of these other sellout Israelite groups say, okay, we are married to the Lord, okay, and not these other heathen nations. All right. So verse 32 says, 30:2 says, for without consulting me, you have gone down to Egypt for help. You have put your trust in Pharaoh's protection. You have tried to hide in his shade. But by trusting Pharaoh, you will be humiliated. And by depending on him, you will be disgraced. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. All right. I'm going to end it there. Lord willing, you were edified. And, you go in and look more into the Willie Lynch letters. All right. Whether they were, they're not in old English. Okay. I could say that, but the recipe is there, and the recipe, has been working. So, hey, the letter is pretty much real. Okay. It's pretty much real, and it's what's going on. All right. So, and you see it lines up with the scriptures as well. So with that being said, till next time, shalom.